you, each of you, as we take our seats here in the main sanctuary this morning. We are grateful for the opportunity to gather in community on this sacred and special day. Shabbat is an opportunity for us to create a separation from all that may have occurred during the week and spend time now in prayer and reflection, grateful to God for all of the blessings we find in our lives. And on this morning in particular, we are grateful to come together as chaste and read our call to the Torah as B'nai Mitzvah. We're pleased to welcome so many family and friends who are here with us in person in our sanctuary, and also those joining us via live stream. In front of you, you will find our prayer book. We will invite you to participate in our songs and Hebrew prayers. You can find also transliteration on each page should you need some assistance, as well as some commentary at the bottom of each page to enhance your understanding of our worship service this morning. And a special note to all of Chase's and Reed's friends who are here with us today. We are grateful for your presence and look forward to your full participation in the service. So at this time, I invite you and everyone here please to silence any cell phones you may have brought with you and refrain from using them for any purpose during our service this morning. Our cantor will now continue. We continue on page 81.
I can stay the tears of others if I can see myself as diminished of their sorrows.
I can hasten time when everyone will be able to rejoice in freedom.
And if I can see myself as the companion of those fighting against oppression,
I can honor the struggle of people everywhere to gain dignity and deliverance from bondage.
when I look at myself in the mirror, who will I see? Please turn to page 108 for our call to worship Baruch Hu. Please rise.
Page 111.
In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous, a promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order and then for hope.
Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters and draw out justice and truth.
Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hama'arot. We continue on page 113.
Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded we saw, that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote.
We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us. As we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, havacher ba'amo Yisrael b'ahava.
Page 114.
Please be seated, page 116. Do I read? V'havta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol avahaha v'chol shaha uv'chol modecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'eleh Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Olavavecha.
Vishinantam Levaneha Vidibarta Bam Bashivteha Baveteha Uvaleteha Vadere Uvashafaha Uvakumeha Ukashartam Ot Hayadeha Vahayu Tafot Bain Eineha Utatam Amazuzot Beteha Uvishiareha. We read together in the middle of the page.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on the gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Please turn to page 121.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot ol sefer שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמחה שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל ופתחן אומך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael.
Rock of Israel, rise in support of Israel, and redeem Judah in Israel as you promised. Our Redeemer, Adonai Tzvaot, is your name. Blessed are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. We continue now with our tefillah on pages 124, 126, and 128. Please rise.
Adonai, Sifatai Shifta, Ufia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'soher Hasadel V'imahot, Umevi Gula, B'nei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol Atah, Rav Loshia, Mahakel Haim Be'esed, Mechayeh Hakol Barachamim Rabim, Somen Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Givurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Machayeh HaKol. We read together in the middle of page 128. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all.
Page 130.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ, כבודו, אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, אדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
To all generations, we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God.
Please be seated. Page 132, Yismechu.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. וגד ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו Shomrei Shabbat Dekorei Oneg Shabbat Yismechu V'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat Dekorei Oneg Shabbat.
Page 133. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Page 134, together. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 139, we read responsively. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. Modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its time and tides, its sunsets and seasons. Modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. Modim anachnu lach. For human community, not our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. Modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. Modim anachnu lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hato shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Page 140, together. Grant peace, goodness and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to us and to all your people, Israel. Bless us, our Creator, all of us together, through the light of your presence. Truly, through the light of your presence, Adonai, our God, you gave us the Torah of life, the love of kindness, justice, and blessing, mercy, life, and peace. May you see fit to bless your people, Israel, at all times, at every hour, with your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people, Israel, with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, barcheinu yotzreinu kulanu ke'echad, ve'or panecha, ki ve'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך, תורת חיים ואהבת חסד, ואהבת חסד, וצדקה וברכה ורחמים, וחיים ושלום. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך.
We pause now for a moment of silent prayer.
In our prayer book, we turn now to page 244 as we prepare for the reading of Torah. Ein kamocha ve'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kama'asecha malchut malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'alam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai varech et amo v'ashalom. There is none like you among the gods, Adonai, and there are no deeds like yours. You are sovereign over all worlds, and your dominion is in all generations. Adonai reigns, Adonai has reigned. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Adonai will give strength to our people. Adonai will bless our people with peace. It's a privilege now to call to join us on the bima to open the doors of the Holy Ark, Eli and Maya Berman. As well, to stand by the Torah reading table here to undress the Torah with us, Stephanie and Daniel Berman. And as we make our way to the Holy Ark now to open its doors, we rise. Havogoda Eloheinu unuchavo la Torah. Let us declare the greatness of our God and give honor to the Torah.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlul Adonai iti uneromema shemo yachdav lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzachod ki lo v'shamayim uvaret ki kol v'shamayim uvaret lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'amit na'aseh l'kol derosh.
On this Shabbat morning, we read from the book of Deuteronomy, beginning in chapter 11, verse 26, in the portion called Re'eh. It's a great privilege to take our time to call Jody and Adam Altsuler, Joan Altsuler and Arnie Altsuler, Claire and Joel Berman, to join us on the bima to recite the blessings as we give thanks to God for the gifts of Torah.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Vahen.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachabanu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Re'eh Anahi Natain Lifnehem Hayam Bracha Uklala Et HaBracha Asher Tishma'u El Mitzvot Adonai Elohechem Asher Anahi Mitzaveh Etehem Hayam V'haklala Im Lo Tishma'u El Mitzvot Adonai Elohechem V'sartem Min Haderech Asher Anahi Mitzaveh Etehem Hayom La'lechet Acharei Elohim Acharim Asher Lo Yadatim V'haya Ki Yeviacha Adonai Elohecha el haaretz asher ata v'shema l'rishta v'natata et habraha al har gerizim v'et haklala al har evo.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Now, we officially invite you for the first time as bar mitzvah, calling to the Torah. Na la'amod, habahur bar mitzvah, Herschel ben Jody ve'Adam Chazak. Baruch Adonai Amvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavra Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Halohema Behever HaYarden Acharei Derech Mavo Hashemesh Be'eretz Hakna'ani Hayashev Rava Mu'o HaGilgal Etzel Elene Morech Ki Etem Avarim Et HaYarden Lavo L'Reshet Et Haaretz Esher Adonai Elokechem Noten Lehem V'rishtem Ota V'shavtem Ba Usamartem L'asot 8 Kol Chachukim Vet Hamish Batem Asher Anaki Notain Lifnehem Hayom. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Hayei Olam Nata B'Tokenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Our Torah reading continues in chapter 13 of Deuteronomy, beginning in verse 1. And once more to invite Jody and Adam, Joan and Arnold Altsuler, Clara and Joel Berman to recite the blessing for their son and grandson.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Eko hadavar asher anohi mitzaveh etahem oto tishmaru lasot lo tosef alav velo tigra mimenu kiyakum bekerveha navi o holem halam venatan eleha ot homofeit. Uva ha'ot v'hamofeit asher deber eleha lemur neleha aharei Elohim aherim asher lo yadatam v'novdem.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Now read, we officially invite you to the Torah as bar mitzvah for the very first time. Na la'amod, habachur bar mitzvah, Michael ben Jody ve'Adam Chazak.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Lo tishma el divrei hanavi hahu. O eholem hahalom hahu. Ki menasah Adonai Elohem etehem ladat hayishem ohavim et Adonai Elohehem b'hol levavahem uv'hol nafshehem. Ahare Adonai Elohehem telehu v'oto tira'u ve'et mitzvotav tishmoru uv'kolo tishma'u v'oto ta'avodu uv'o tidbakun v'hanavi hahu o holem hahalom hahu yumat kidiber sarah al Adonai Elohehem ha'motzi etehem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hapodaha mi-bet avadim lahadiha min haderet asher tzivaha Adonai Eloheha elahet ba uviarta hara mikerbeha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'haye olam nata b'tzokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Nicely done, Reed. It's a privilege to call to the bima to assist us in dressing the Torah, Daryl and Aaron Hoover. Please come forward.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen faithful prophets to speak words of truth.
Praise to you, Adonai, for the revelation of Torah, for your servant Moses, for your people Israel, and for your prophets of truth and righteousness.
Our Haftorah is Isaiah chapter 54, verses 11 through 13. Ah, unhappy, storm-tossed soul, with none to comfort you. I will make garnets your building stones and sapphires your foundations. I will build your towers with rubies, your gates with precious stones, your border with gems. All your children shall be taught by the Eternal, and great shall be the happiness of your children.
Our Haftorah continues with chapter 55, verses 1 through 3. Come, all who are thirsty, come for water, even if you have no money. Come buy food and eat. Come buy food without money, wine and milk without cost. Why spend money for what is not bread? Why spend your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen well to me, and you shall eat what is good, and your souls shall delight in abundance. Open your ears and come to me. Hearken, and you shall live. I will make an everlasting covenant with you, the true love I extended to David. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, rock of all creation, righteous one of all generations, the faithful God, whose word is deed, who creates by speaking, whose every command is just and true.
For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat, that you, Adonai, our God, have given us for holiness and rest, for honor and glory, for everything. Adonai, our God, we thank and bless you.
May your name be blessed forever by every living being. Praise to you, Adonai, for Shabbat and its holiness. My Torah portion, Re'eh 11:26 to 12:2, is from the book of Deuteronomy and is about how God gave the Israelites a choice between living a life of blessing or a life of curse. He described a blessing as something that comes from the observance of his laws and a curse as a consequence of disobeying his commandments. In exchange for delivering the Israelites to the Promised Land, God expected them to ignore the idea of any other gods and to live out the rest of their lives following his guidance. God was setting his expectations with his people and preparing the Israelites for when Moses would no longer be there to guide them. In my Torah portion, Moses reminded the Israelites that they were about to cross the Jordan River to the Promised Land, which was given to them by God, and in return, they should show their loyalty to God by always observing his commandments. Rabbi Moses ben Nachman said, "The people of Israel are a treasure in God's hand, because their loyalty is felt every time they obey God's guidance." In this case, loyalty promotes loyalty. And based on my own experience, I understand this concept. When I have been loyal to my friends and teammates, they have always returned that loyalty to me and supported me when I needed it most. I think loyalty is the crucial thread that creates friendships and binds us to God. When you think about it, my Torah portion is really about making a choice. And doing the right thing in this high-tech world isn't always easy. As a 13-year-old, I'm getting more and more familiar with social media every day. As far as I know, God doesn't have any commandments about TikTok, but my dad sure does. We have a rule in our house: no phones after 10 p.m. And even though my dad would pat me down every night for my phone before he put me to bed, I used to find a way to watch videos past my bedtime, whether it was with an old hidden phone or my school laptop. It got so bad I could actually feel my brain getting smaller. Plus, I could never fall asleep. I loved watching all the videos, but I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. As a result, I made the decision to delete TikTok from my phone. Ever since I did that, my attention span has grown exponentially, and I actually sleep better. I improved my life by following my parents' rules. I guess you could say I'm starting to figure out what is best for me and how I should start being loyal to myself and to God, and make the most out of my gifts by doing the right thing. I have been blessed with two kind and thoughtful parents who have taught me the difference between right and wrong. While I might be known as someone who pushes the envelope every once in a while, I understand the importance of making good choices. As a part of my Mitzvah project, I volunteered for the Challenger Baseball League in West University. The Challenger League is a Little League baseball program for children with physical and mental challenges. That experience opened my eyes and made me realize how lucky I am that God has given me a capable body and mind to successfully participate in the things I love. It also made me want to give back to the community by volunteering more of my time. Today, I thank God for all the gifts He has given me. I also pray that God gives me the strength to make good choices as I grow older and my parents give me more freedom. I want to thank my family and friends for being here to support me in my journey. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for always being there for me. and making me spend my summer vacations studying my Hebrew when all my friends were outside playing. Thank you, Granny and Opa and Gaga and Grandpa, for being here today. It would not have been the same without you. Thank you, Rabbi Lyon, Rabbi Scott, Cantor Feibush, Mike Mason, and thank you, Debbie, my Hebrew teacher. I could not have done any of this without you. And finally, thank you, Reed, for being such a great bar mitzvah partner. I know it's hard when you have such an amazing older brother like me, but you continue to impress me with everything you do. I look forward to catching up with all of you after the service. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion, Deuteronomy, Re'eh 13:1 to 13:12, describes how Moses warned the chosen people about following false prophets. Specifically, he described how you should observe only that which God instructs you to observe. You should not add to that or take away from it. He also stated that if someone comes to you asking that you worship another God, then that person is likely testing you to see if you truly love God with all of your heart and all of your mind. He reminded the Israelites that God freed them from the land of Egypt, and in return, they should be loyal to him and follow his teachings. As I apply these teachings to today's world, I think my Torah portion is really about not allowing yourself to be overly influenced by other people and not giving in to peer pressure. Instead, you should have the courage to do the right thing and live by the teachings of God, even if that is not the easiest thing to do at the time. Sometimes this can be hard. Moses assured his people that staying true to yourself would always prepare you for the tests and challenges that come up throughout your life, and he believed that if you could withstand these tests, then you'd prevail over evil in your midst. We learn from Jewish tradition that the Israelites were chosen by God, and that this was a privilege and a special honor. Even so, the Israelites' ongoing relationship with God was a choice that came with responsibility and obligation every day. This privilege inspired the Jewish people to be more than just self-serving. They wanted to become the instrument for extending truth, justice, and compassion on earth. As Rabbi Leo Beck said, the Israelites became aware and realized a consciousness of election in fulfilling their role as the chosen people. The Israelites' covenant with God was not about being better than others, but simply about having an obligation to make the world a better place through their actions. This is the way I want to live as well, and I feel fortunate that I have been given the opportunity and resources to do so. For example, for my Mitzvah project, I volunteered as a basketball referee for the Special Olympics. It was a really fun and rewarding experience. I remember coming home from my first game and talking to my mom and dad about it. I felt good about what I had done, and I remember thinking, I want to feel this way again. That feeling of satisfaction came from helping others and spreading the gifts that God has given me to those who are not as fortunate as I am. It was also nice because now I'm pretty much an authority on the rules, so Chase has to respect my calls when we play each other. Seriously though, my experience with the Special Olympics was just the beginning of my journey in living up to my end of the pack I've entered into with God, and I am excited to continue that journey as I grow older. As you can tell, I like sports, specifically basketball and football. Also, you might have heard that I like LaMelo Ball and Patrick Mahomes. The reason I like these players, besides the fact that they're the GOATs, is because they play the game the way they want to play it, using their own style, and they're not influenced by other people. As a result, they seem to have more fun than everybody else. Plus, they're both role models and all-around good guys. LaMelo Ball recently donated an entire month of his salary to people in need and donated his time and 500 blankets to the Salvation Army to aid the homeless living in his community. Patrick Mahomes started his own foundation to improve the health and wellness of children. These are the types of players and people I want to be, both in sports and in life. On this special day, I offer a prayer to God that I have the courage to live my life on my own terms. And I pray that I can give back to those around me like my role models have, leaving the world a better place than it was when they found it. I also want to thank my family and friends for being here today. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for always supporting me and encouraging me to do my best. Thank you, Granny and Opa and Gaga and Grandpa, for being here today to make this such a special occasion. Opa and Granny, I'm still sorry for knocking down a 2,000-year-old wall in Pompeii during our trip this summer. I'm hoping that you didn't get charged for that. Thank you, Rabbi Lyon, Rabbi Scott, Cantor Feibush, Mike Mason, and Debbie, my Hebrew teacher. Thank you, Debbie, for making me so much better at Hebrew than Chase. Speaking of Chase, I want to thank my big brother for being a great bar mitzvah partner. This day will forever be even more special because I get to share it with you. I look forward to catching up with all of you after the service. Shabbat Shalom.
Chase and Reed, if you'll turn and face me so I can share some words with you. I know that coming to the Bima is a little different than coming to the sports field or going to school every day. But in every way, you accomplished exactly what you needed to do, not only for all of us and for the history of this great congregation and community, but for yourselves, in relationship to God, in relationship to Torah. Listening to you, you have a good sense of humor, each of you. Clearly, you've endeared yourself to family and friends in sweet and very meaningful ways because of your respective personalities and who you're growing to be. Chase, I especially enjoyed listening to your words today about choices, about consequences. And sometimes when we use the word there are consequences, we only think they're negative. They're not. You've come to learn for yourself that there are choices that you make, and you have the privilege to make on your own, increasingly now that you're a bar mitzvah, that have positive consequences and negative consequences. And what they'll be is completely up to you. That's powerful, really powerful. And as you continue to grow, you'll appreciate that the power in your heart and your head and your hands really is something you'll have to learn to control and temper to be sure that the positive outcomes are always available to you. And that's what the Torah portion says. I've given you the opportunity for blessing or curse. It's up to you. Now, we all make mistakes from time to time. You can't be perfect, even if you think you are. But as you grow up and you stumble, our Judaism itself says, stumble. It's human. We make mistakes. But when you say, I'm really sorry for the stumbling that I did, we're always ready to forgive and to make you whole again. And when you make a great decision and there's a positive consequence, sometimes you can say, I'm really great. I did that super. But you can also say, thank God. I've been gifted with gifts and blessings to be athletic and smart and a good young man. And that gratitude helps keep you grounded so that you will always know who you are, where you need to be, and the kind of person you always want to grow up to become. Chase, we're really proud of you, and I appreciate this partnership with your brother, too, because you really did well together. Mazel tov to you. And Reed, you have a good sense of humor, too, and I appreciate how you regard your brother in a very kindly way as well. But I also heard you speak so nicely about the meaning of your Torah portion, and frankly, as much as many people will influence you as you grow up, from parents and grandparents, family and friends, ultimately, it all falls on you. You can't say, he made me do it, she told me I should, because it all comes back to you. And that's why your Torah portion, which you reflected on so meaningfully, says, in the end, if somebody comes to cause you to go astray the other way, if you know it's not the right way, our Torah reminds us, don't go. But maybe it is the right way to go. But it's in your hands and your heart and your head to make that decision too. This Torah portion is all about making decisions with what God has given us. And God has given you a lot. So use it, and take the time that you need to figure it out. It can be complex and complicated, but that's why you have a good bar mitzvah partner. You have good rabbis, a cantor, and tutors to help, because there's always someone to find the way that you should go. And your mitzvah projects are magnificent. You have so much in your life. There's never a day without what you need. You're bright and strong and capable, and you've discovered that there are other people in this world who are not as capable, as strong and able as you. That sensitivity, that empathy means the world to them and now also to you. The power in your hands is so able to do good for others who are just like you and for those who would love to be like you. So even if they can't, always use your heart for good and your hands for good too. There's a Jewish teaching that says, if our wisdom is greater than our deeds, our wisdom will not last. But if our deeds are greater than our wisdom, then our wisdom will endure and last. It's not about being the smartest. It's about being the best mitzvah doer. Do well, and people will always come to stand before you with respect and appreciation for who you are. And we respect and appreciate you today. In honor of all that you have done today, I'm so pleased that we have these tokens of our appreciation and congratulations. First, a Kiddush cup from Sisterhood that you can take home and use on sacred occasions to raise and make those moments special. You each have a certificate of bar mitzvah that says you really did it. You finally arrived at the Torah, bar mitzvah partners, brothers, and friends. You read from the portion called Re'eh, which means see, and you did. You looked, you saw, and you accomplished. And for each of you, too, there's a certificate from Kehillah High, our community-wide, congregational-wide program for 8th through 12th graders to continue to learn about who you are as young Jewish men and to contribute to the well-being, the history, and the strength of our congregation. Mazel tov. And now I want to invite Rabbi Scott and Cantor Feibush to join us so that they can join me in reciting a blessing, the blessing of old, that it will go well with you today and for years to come. Would you turn, stand next to each other, and face the Holy Ark behind me as we extend this blessing to you.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's presence shine upon you and always be good to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom.
May God grant to each of you all that you wish for yourselves in the future, and all that your family and friends wish for you too. May it be long life, good health, and a world to live in peace. Amen. Mazel tov. And now, as we prepare to return the Torah to the Holy Ark, we invite Cameron, Dylan, and Samantha Hoover to the bima to open the doors of the Holy Ark. And as we raise the Torah now, we rise. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizgav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of the Lord, for God's name alone is exalted.
Eitz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomchea מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
In our prayer book now, we turn to the bottom of page 282 and 287, and we join in Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing. Thank you.
We turn now in our prayer books to page 294. And as we do, we call to heart and to mind all of our loved ones who have departed from this earth and gone on to the peace of life eternal. And on this Shabbat, we are especially thinking of those members of Chase and Reed's family who are here with us today in spirit. Lovingly, we remember Harry Altsuler, Ruth Altsuler, Barney Berman, Jenny Berman, Abner Berg, Jane Elise Berg, Peter Hesse, Miriam Hesse, Leon Levi, Selwyn Berman. In each of their honor and their memory, we join together now in the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yaman divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon u'chayei jechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'yizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'riachu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'bromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and bring comfort to all of the bereaved among us, as together we say, Amen. Please be seated. At this time in our service, our formal prayers have ended, but our blessings continue. So I'd like to invite Chase and Reed to join me here once again on the lower bima, this time with your parents, Adam and Jody, so that they may share some personal words with you.
Chase, you did great. So proud of you. You brought your A game today. Since the day you were born, you have lived your life on your own terms. True to character, you didn't want to come out of my belly until you were ready. But when you finally entered our lives, you took on the world with confidence and swagger. And if it were up to you, I'm sure you would have been wearing some sort of gold chain or drip when you were born. You have never backed down from a challenge, and you have always completely immersed yourself into what you are doing. You are a gamer because you always show up when it's time to play, and you consistently put forth your best effort. And there is no doubt that you have lived up to your name, Chase, as you are always on the go. But you only go when you want to go. You stuck to your own timelines even when you were a child. You were always respectful, but if you weren't ready to do something, your father and I learned very quickly that it was just not going to happen. I remember during swim lessons, all the other kids had passed the survival skills test and had moved on to the next level, but you hadn't quite made that leap. A little worried, I asked the coach if there was something wrong or if I should be concerned, and not surprisingly, Coach Daniel said, "Oh, Chase, he'll be fine. He can do it. He's just in the shallow end, enjoying it right now." Your father and I have seen this theme over and over again, and we have come to appreciate it and even admire it. You take it all in and enjoy the journey, and you've never been in a hurry to get to the finish line. And I think that we could all learn a lot from the way you live your life. You always have a smile on your face, and you always approach things in a fun, loving, confident way. I love your style. I love your light-hearted attitude you bring to every situation and how you always see the best in people. You are a loyal and supportive friend, and you are definitely a glass half full kind of guy. Well, today, we are all here for you, so enjoy this moment and know that we are here to support and celebrate you as you continue your journey. I love you.
Chaser, I couldn't agree more with your mother. We're so proud of you and have loved every minute of watching you grow into the man that you have become. We've always admired your zest for life and your desire to experience new things. Whether it was mutton busting at the rodeo, parasailing off of Table Mountain in Cape Town, or having the courage to approach Adam Sandler in Hawaii for a picture. By the way, I'm happy to show anyone that picture if you're interested. You were always up for the challenge, and you would never be denied the opportunity to do it better, and of course, with a little more style. Some of my favorite memories with you are when I was your coach, and I got to see your true character come out. There's no doubt that you're a fighter, and will never allow yourself to be held down for very long. But you're also a good friend, and your supportive nature makes those around you better. Your optimism is contagious. After getting assigned your Torah portion, Mom and I discussed how appropriate it was for you and your personality. As you so eloquently stated, your Torah portion is about using the gifts that God gave you to honor yourself and others. Your mother and I love to watch you play sports, and maybe that's because you do use the skills that God gave you to make life fun, and you are fulfilling your obligation to God by supporting those around you with your playful personality. Chase, you're a good guy. You're a true mensch, as Grandpa would say. And you truly want the best for everybody, which is a really amazing trait. Enjoy today, and don't ever forget the commitment you made to living a life of blessing, spreading your gifts, and helping those around you. Don't ever lose your courage or your competitive drive. There may be days when you stumble, but we will always be there to support you. We trust you and will know that you will make the right decision when it counts. We hope that you will always keep your fun-loving spirit and pursue the things that make you happy, because there is one thing that we do know, that you'll enjoy the journey along the way. We love you, buddy. There you go. Good job. There you go. Oh, sorry. Reed, good job today, bud. Nice work. We're so blessed to have you as our son. Since the day you were born, you've been a very loving, sweet, and thoughtful child. Your mom and I remember how you always wanted to be held and how we would take turns rocking you before you went to bed. Somewhat shy and reserved at first, other aspects of your personality slowly began to reveal themselves. The more we saw, the more we loved it, and we knew we had a very special boy on our hands. I remember our trip to Costa Rica. You were about 6 years old, and at the time we still called you Reedy. You hated it. We had a zip lining excursion one day, and of course a competition broke out between you, your brother, and our cousins to see who could go the farthest and the fastest through the trees. Right then and there, you could see it. A switch flipped, excuse me. You stepped up to the challenge and made it very clear that you were no longer an observer. In fact, you wouldn't quit until you had the family record for Costa Rican zip lining distance and speed. When people ask me about that trip, I always tell them that's when we left Reedy in the jungle. You had graduated to Reed, or as I affectionately call you, Reed Dog. Over the last few years, your mother and I have seen something light up inside of you. There was this new fire that drove you, and you started to live your life with purpose. While you always looked up to your older brother, you simply started to go after what made you happy. Whether it was the day you woke up and told us, I want to make honor roll this semester, or the time you said, you know what, I'm going to climb Mount Crested Butte this year. You started to set your goals and accomplish them. I remember when you came to me and said, Dad, I want to play football this year. Trying to hide my enthusiasm, I said, that sounds great, but just know that you're going to be a little bit behind because all your friends have already been playing for a few years now. I'll never forget your answer. Yeah, I know. That just means I'm going to have to work a little bit harder and catch up. And since then, you have worked harder and you have caught up. Which brings us to today. Not only have you caught up, but you've also developed into a driven young man while staying as considerate as you've always been. I love you, buddy.
To my favorite youngest son, proud of you. Did great. Your dad and I admire so many things about you, but one of your traits that continues to make us proud is that you truly understand the relationship between hard work and success. And your sense of independence and grit continue to amaze us every day. Whether you're practicing basketball before dinner, running your daily mile, or playing the piano until you pin down a new song, you have shown us that you are a motivated young man and that there are truly no limitations to what you can accomplish. And I think it's fair to say that the confident, independent young adult that is standing in front of us today is a far cry from the shy little boy who always needed to be held. Reed, watching you grow up has been an absolute joy. You too have been assigned a very appropriate Torah portion, which speaks to how you should not give in to peer pressure and also how you can spread your light to make the world a better place. Reed, you really do march to the beat of your own drum. You don't just do what everyone else is doing. I mean, you don't even have an Instagram account, for goodness sakes. At the same time, you are an empathetic and caring person who has his own belief system and who understands what it means to do the right thing. We sincerely believe you are the kind of guy who can leave the world a better place through your actions and someone who can play the game of life on your own terms. Today, you are surrounded by those who love you. You are blessed to have 2 sets of grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles here today who have shared countless experiences with you and have been incredible role models. We hope that you can continue to learn from those that came before you. Celebrate this moment and be proud that you have put in the hard work to get here. We hope you will always think of the bond that you have created with God today and the commitment you have made to doing the right thing. Know that we will always be here for you. Don't ever doubt yourself and don't ever give up. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you because we know that you are not going to stop until you get what you want. We love you always, and may God be with you every step of your journey. I love you.
And now as we come together to share our blessings over our wine and challah, we invite everyone please to rise.
Chase and Reed, if you'll take your place in front of the Kiddush cups, you'll lead us in the blessing first over the wine to sanctify this day as we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Great. We'll uncover the challah to share the bread before everyone is invited into Wolf Tumim Hall behind the sanctuary for our Kiddush luncheon. We share our blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Wonderful. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos.